You know that feeling when you're just stuck? Like your brain is a broken record, replaying conversations that are already over or, prepping for arguments that are probably never even going to happen. We call it thinking, but let's be honest, it's not. It's a trap. And in this explainer, we're going to build the system to get you out of it. It all starts with understanding what it means to be trapped inside your own head. And that's exactly what it is. Your mind is just trapped, spinning its wheels, but going absolutely nowhere. It gets obsessed with analyzing every past decision, forecasting every possible future disaster, and what happens? You're just frozen, paralyzed, right here in the present. This isn't productivity, not by a long shot. It's a mental prison.
Okay, so let's just get real about what overthinking actually is. Because it's not you being super smart or, extra prepared. It's fear. Simple as that. It's anxiety wearing a clever disguise pretending to be productive. Think of it like this. Your mind is just revving the engine, making a ton of noise because it is terrified to actually put the car in gear and move. And that right there is the core of it. It is a trap, and it's one of the sneakiest, most destructive traps for your performance, for your well-being, and chances are you've fallen into it. So first things first, let's pull this trap apart and see exactly how it works. So here's the first reason this trap is just so darn effective. Your brain, it hates uncertainty. It can't stand it. So when you're faced with something big and complicated, like, say, a career change or a tough relationship, your mind just starts analyzing it to death. But here's the trick. It doesn't actually solve anything. It just feels like you're doing something important. It gives you this total illusion of progress while you're actually stuck in place, not moving an inch.
Now, listen, this isn't some personal failing on your part, okay? This is just your brain running its default programming. Overthinking is basically a bug in that program, and it really comes down to a couple of key things. One is that illusion of control we just talked about, but the second one is even more surprising. And this is so important to understand. Your brain will actually choose the familiar grinding pain of a negative thought loop over the unknown risk of just doing something. Yeah, the anxiety is exhausting, we all know that feeling, but it's a feeling you know. Action, though, that's a total unknown. You could fail, you could get rejected, so what does your mind do? It takes the path of least resistance. It stays in the chair thinking instead of getting up and actually risking something. So the real cost here, the thing we have to get, isn't just about the time you lose. It's about the power you give away. Every single minute you spend stuck on what if is a minute you're not actually living in what is. You basically become a ghost in your own life, totally trapped in the past or the future. And this is the machine, right? This is the process that turns all your amazing potential directly into anxiety. So the big question is, how do you shut this machine down? How do you finally break free from this cycle? Well, the answer is pretty simple, but it's not easy. And here's the catch. You can't think your way out of a thinking problem. And that is the absolute key right there. Trying to use more analysis to fix analysis? I mean, that's like trying to put out a fire with a bucket of gasoline. It just makes things worse. You need a completely different tool for this job. You need a system. A system that breaks the loop and yanks your mind back into the present moment. And this, right here, is that system. A simple, totally actionable 3-step process to take back your mind from the grip of overthinking. All right, step 1. This idea comes straight from Stoic philosophy, and it's this. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. See, overthinking is what happens when you jump into the middle of mental traffic, trying to stop every single car. The goal isn't to stop the thoughts. That's impossible. The goal is to step back onto the sidewalk and just watch them go by. So how do you do that? The practical tactic here is to just name the loop. The second you catch yourself spinning, you just pause and you give it a label. Like, there it is. That's the anxiety about money loop. Or, hey, that's the rehearsing a conversation loop. The moment you name it, you create separation. You're not in it anymore. You're the one watching it. You've become the observer. Okay, so now that you've created that tiny bit of space for yourself, you can move on to step 2. Here's the secret. Overthinking cannot survive movement. It just can't. Anxiety lives and breathes in hesitation. So action is the direct antidote. It literally forces you out of your head and back into the real world. But let's be real. You can't just take action if the problem feels huge and overwhelming. Your mind just freezes up thinking, oh my God, I have to fix my entire life right now. So what do? You break it down. You find the smallest, tiniest possible physical action that you can take right now.
For example, your overthinking mind sees this mountain of a task, write the 50-page report, and it just immediately shuts down. It's too big, it's too complicated, it is the perfect recipe for paralysis by analysis. But instead, you do this. Open the document and write one sentence. See? This is the solution. The action is so small, it's almost ridiculous not to do it. And that tiny physical movement, it breaks the spell. It sends a little shock wave to your brain that says, hey, we're moving now, hesitation is over. But here's the thing, that loop, it's gonna try to come back. And it will if you don't do this final, critical step. Think of overthinking like a fire. It needs fuel to keep burning. And that fuel is information, it's noise, it's constant input. You have to cut off its supply. Look, you just can't have a clear mind in a chaotic environment. It's impossible. So you have to be ruthless about cutting out the noise. If you're anxious about the future, maybe stop doom scrolling the 24-hour news cycle. If you're feeling insecure, stop scrolling through perfectly curated social media feeds. You have to stop throwing logs on the fire. Create some silence and that loop will starve. Okay, so let's put it all together. This is the whole system. When you feel that overthinking start to spin up, first, you observe. Name the loop. Second, you act. Use a tiny, minimum viable action. And third, you filter. Cut out the noise and starve the loop of its fuel. Observe, act, filter. That's it. So, let's be perfectly clear about this. Mental clarity does not come from more thinking. It comes from less useless thinking and more decisive action. Overthinking is just your mind trying to keep you safe inside your comfort zone. But let's be honest, nothing important ever gets built there. You are not going to find the perfect solution by analyzing it to death inside your head. You're not going to solve the future just by thinking about it. The answers you're looking for, they only show up through action, through getting your hands dirty in the real world. So here is the final takeaway. Your head is a great tool for thinking, but it's a terrible place to live. It's time to reclaim your mind. Get out of your head and just act. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question. Not for tomorrow, not for later today, but for right now. What is the one tiny physical step you can take to break the loop and start moving forward?